If you're an avid international traveler or digital nomad, you're probably somewhat looped in on the conversations about premium travel credit cards. But have you ever stopped to consider if a premium travel credit card isn't actually the best card for a premium expat? Living abroad is not the same as traveling all the time. You have to have a card that actually works for you, that actually makes sense. In this video, I'm going to break down the top 10 premium cards and go through and kind of explain to you why there's really only one card that makes sense and give you a hint. It is not the one all the influencers peddle. Let's get into it. In the world of premium travel credit cards, there are about 8 to 10 that would loosely qualify as a premium card. I would say 8 of them have annual fees of between $400 to $800 a year, which would qualify them as premium. But of those 8, all of them but 3 are affiliated with some American-based hotel or airline or other loyalty program that really only benefits you if you're in America. So I'm going to go ahead and say that of those 8, the lower 5 don't count. We're only going to look at the top 3 that are bank affiliated. And by being bank affiliated, that means that it's not co-branded with like a hotel or an airline or something like that. It's just the bank and the bank's own reward system. Those rewards can be transferred to other partners, to hotels, airlines, whatever, but they primarily live inside the bank. You're not tied to one hotel or one airline. So the 3 that are left after we remove all of the affiliated cards are the Amex Platinum, the Chase Sapphire Reserve, and the Capital One Venture X card. Those are the only 3 cards I would even consider as an expat. You don't want to be tied to an American airline where you earn all these miles for some, Southwest or whatever that basically only flies in America, and then you can't really use them as you're living and working abroad. The same with hotel chains. You can earn all these Marriott points or all of these Hilton points, and that's great if you have a Hilton or a Marriott where you live, but you might not. So the best way to maintain flexibility in your life is to earn these in bank-owned rewards programs. So let's talk about those 3 cards. They have similar earnings percentages, like 5% on airfare, 2 or 3% on general purchases, 1% here, 1% there. I'm not going to get into those because they're very comparable. They also have very similar insurances, which is another one of the reasons why you pay for a premium travel credit card, is you want travel insurance. These cards all offer about the same. Sure, they have the little nuances, but if you look at it from 1,000 feet up, they're the same. So I'm not going to get into the insurances either. I want to look at the actual practicality and usability of these cards in your daily life as an expat. Because ultimately, living abroad is not the same thing as traveling abroad. You need a card that you can live with, not one that just gives you flashy lounge memberships or first class flights on airlines, because you need to actually live somewhere and you need to have a card that you can use, and you need to have customer support that will overnight you an international new card, things like that. So without further ado, in third place, I have the drums Amex Platinum. I don't really like the Amex Platinum. A lot of influencers online and the points guy and all these people, tout that card. It's not really a hardcore travel card at this point. It's kind of an urban living premium statement credit card that's really only benefits you if you live in America. The Amex Platinum is definitely most famous for having the most lounge access, having some flashy statement credits and things like that. But at the end of the day, you cannot use an Amex Platinum card as your principal credit card if you are living abroad for a long period of time. And the reason is because it's an Amex card. Despite what the influencers say, despite what Chase's marketing team says, Amex is not accepted as widely internationally as Visa or MasterCard. The end of story. I look at the places around here where I go and I see what they accept, and they do not all take Amex. If you travel abroad with only an Amex card, you will be put in a situation where you cannot pay for dinner or where you cannot do the card and you've got to use a debit card or some other thing. Amex is good in the US, it's okay internationally, but you have to have a sister card if you only have Amex Platinum. So for that reason alone, for your day-to-day living, it's just not a great card for expats. It might be great if you live in downtown New York and you're, going to the Peloton studio and use the statement credit and whatever. But ultimately, if you are a hardcore traveler living abroad, the Amex Platinum is not the only card you can have. So I even carry that card. The Amex Platinum card costs $695 per year for the card, plus $195 for each authorized user. So if you want to add you and your spouse to the card, you're looking at $890 a year in annual fees. And Amex's marketing team proposes all these statement credits to say, oh, hey, there's lots of value. It's, $1,500 in value on this card. Cool. If you live in the US, let's take a look at those perks and just go through them and show how if you live internationally, it doesn't really benefit you. So they give you a $200 airline fee credit. Cool. But you have to register one airline in advance, and they're pretty much all US based airlines. It's like Southwest, Delta, American, Alaska, whatever. Doesn't really help you if you live in Mexico, for example. There's a $200 in Uber cash. Cool if you have Uber. You're not guaranteed to have Uber wherever you live, so that's pretty much useless. $100 Saks Fifth Avenue. Great if you live in New York. $200 Amex hotel travel statement credits. That's cool, but you still have to register it in advance and go through some hoops. It's not so straightforward. I don't really think that's useful outside of the US. $240 of rotating digital entertainment credits. This is things like Netflix, Disney Plus. That could be useful pretty much anywhere you live if you subscribe to those services, but they rotate it. So one month it's Netflix, next month it's Disney, then this month they might add whatever else there is, So you kind of have to play the game and be on top of it. And if you're just living internationally and trying to live your best life, you're probably not going to be tracking that. And if you're not going to be tracking these things, then why have a card that requires the use of them to get the most out of the card? A $300 Equinox Fitness Studio credit. I've never seen one of those in Mexico. A $300 Soul Cycle Statement credit if you want to buy an online fitness bike. Again, living internationally, you're not going to be buying those. A $200 Clear Statement credit. That's cool in the US. I've never seen one outside of the US. $155 Walmart Plus membership. Cool if you use American based Walmart Plus, but here in Mexico, my Walmart Plus membership wasn't the same. I had to make a Mexican based one. So you can't use that perk. The only perk on here that's actually useful is the perk that every single other card has in these three premium cards, which is a global entry and TSA pre-check credit. You can definitely use that as an international traveler when you come back to the US or when you're leaving. But since all three of these cards have that same perk, again, it doesn't really come out in the Amex's favor. So all that to say, this card is going to cost you $890 per year. And let's say you can use the $200 airline credit to fly home or whatever. That still puts you at $690 per year for that card. And for a card that you can't even use everywhere. So that alone is like, it's disqualified. You cannot live abroad and have the Amex Platinum. In second place, I have the Chase Sapphire Reserve. The Chase Sapphire Reserve, first off, is a Visa card, so it's actually useful outside the United States. I had this card for years. I think it's actually a pretty good card. I feel like lately they've been raising the annual fee and reducing perks, and I don't know that it's worth the value anymore, but I do think it's a good card to have. The perks are mostly useful, so if we go look at the perks on this one, it has a $300 annual travel credit, which comes up every anniversary, and this travel credit is, I think, the best in the industry. It's pretty much anything that could loosely count as travel, Ubers, trains, whatever, and it's automatic. So you just spend your card, they automatically credit you back the first $300 in travel. So I don't know of any perk that's easier than that. Other than that, there's no other main perk that helps expats. You have the $100 global entry TSA pre-check. All the cards have that, so that's not really a deal breaker. And then they have the complimentary DoorDash membership. I've never seen DoorDash outside of the US, so if you can use that, cool. If not, it's probably not useful. So for the Chase Sapphire Reserve card, the annual fee is $595 per year, and then $75 for an authorized user. So if you have you and your spouse on there, that's going to be $670 per year in annual fee. If you get that automatic $300 credit, which you're probably going to have because you're traveling, that still puts you out $370 per year. I think the card is good. I don't think it's worth that if you're living abroad and can't take advantage of the other perks. So I put this card firmly in second place because I believe there's a better card you can have. In first place is my absolute favorite card, the Capital One Venture X. This card's a Visa card, first of all, so you can actually use it outside of the US. And I love that this card is more of an actual travel card instead of a urban luxury travel credit card with DoorDash perks and Uber Cash perks and a Peloton credit and a bike credit. It's like, look, you want a card that you're going to travel with, not one where you can live in New York City and get your gym membership half off, you know? So let's take a look at the perks in the Venture X card. It has a $300 annual travel credit, similar to the Chase Sapphire Reserve. The only stickler is it's only for travel booked through the Capital One portal. I would say 95% of travel is available in there, different airlines, different rental cars, whatever. So it's not that big of a deal, but it is a small hoop you have to jump through. In practice, I've been able to book everything I've ever needed through there, so I don't feel like that's actually a limitation, but it's not an automatic credit like the Chase Sapphire Reserve. The next perk is it has a $120 global entry credit. Again, they all have this, so nice, but it doesn't really help me. Hertz President Circle status. That's nice if you're in the US. Not really that helpful down here in Mexico. And the one perk here that I love is they give you 10,000 bonus miles on every anniversary of your account. So every year when you renew and pay your annual fee, they give you 10,000 miles, which, if you know how miles work, that's about $100. So while they give you a $300 travel credit, every year when they renew, they give you that $300 travel credit plus essentially $100 more in travel credit in the form of miles. So after year one, when you are renewing this, you then are getting the 300 plus the 100, so you're actually getting $400 in travel credit. And the annual fee on this card is only $395. And to add your spouse to the card, there's no fee. So me and my wife both have this card. We pay $395 per year. I get the $300 travel credit in the portal, and now since I've had it for multiple years, I get that 10,000 miles every time I renew, which is $100 more. So essentially, at the end of the year, I make $5 off this card based on the credits alone. So at the end of the day, you just can't beat that, right? At the Amex Platinum, I would be out $690 a year. On the Chase Sapphire Reserve, I would be out $370 per year. And on the Venture X, I make $5. So at the end of the day, the only card that I can wholeheartedly recommend for international living, which isn't the same as influencer sipping champagne in a lounge, this is we got to get stuff done on the ground. We got to take our family to the dentist. We got to go pay our power bill. We need a card that's going to work for us. The only card I can recommend is the Capital One Venture X. I think for the premium price, it doesn't require all these statement credits that are irrelevant to not living in the US. It doesn't require to jump through hoops. I think it just strikes the perfect blend between having premium features, but also not making you jump through the hoops. And like I mentioned before, in my case, I make $5 every year. So who's going to say no to that? I hope this analysis was helpful for you from an expat point of view. We'll see you in the next video.